What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. Today it's FPL Team Selection time for Game Week 30. I'm going to go through how I did in Game Week 29 very briefly because it feels like about a million years ago since that Game Week actually happened. Then we'll take a look to Game Week 30, look at captaincy, any transfers, future plans, and that kind of stuff as well. Please do give the video a like if you've missed these team selection videos and you do enjoy them. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. We're over 148k now, just 2k to go to 150, which is now the dream for the end of the season. So do try and help out if you can, if you're enjoying the content. Otherwise, let's jump into it. So it would have been a nice week to skip this section because I finally lost my triple digit rank. I think I've had it from about Game Week 21 or something like that. I've had 3 digits now. I'm back down to 1,438, which of course is fine in the grand scheme of things. But it'd be nice to get a green arrow this week. It wasn't a good week for me, and I toyed with using the free hit. I ended up not using it. I think if I'd only had one free transfer, I would have been more likely to do it. I'm not saying guaranteed, but with 2 free transfers, it just didn't feel right. I was hoping that Davern would be fit enough. He made the squad, but he didn't start. I was really hoping that Son would make it, but deep down I knew that he probably wouldn't. I probably would have gone to Gareth Bale as well, and he didn't even play. So I didn't really miss out too much there. I bought in Tierney and Dawson as part of my 2 transfers. They got 0 points between them. My defence was an absolute joke. 3 points from 5 players. Not good at all. Only 43 points. I won't go through it too much, but if I'd free hit, I would have definitely had at least 2 or 3 Brighton defenders. I would have had a Brighton attacker if I didn't have 2 Brighton defenders, just like I talked about on the free hit video. So a bit frustrating that I didn't go through and use it, but there's still potential in Game Week 33. There's potential for more double game weeks to come later down the line where the free hit might be useful. So I won't say it was a complete mistake to not use it, but it definitely would have been worth probably another 20 or so points at least. Probably more. Would have been a green arrow. It is what it is. Rafinha and Bamford coming through. Obviously, Bamford was one of the injury concerns as well. And then Kane captain, quite happy with that. Got a penalty, didn't play particularly well. He did fine. Spurs did okay. He wasn't really in the mix for too many other points. And Antonio doing what he does. He got 7 points as well. So pretty happy. Tierney was a long-term move. So was Dawson. I didn't really necessarily expect 2 clean sheets from them anyway. But to get 0 points was pretty crazy. So yeah, pretty poor week. We'll get rid of that now. It was a long time ago. Let's look at Game Week 30. Okay, so I have to go from defenders to mids to forwards because I need to pretty much remind myself what the hell my team looks like because it feels like so long since I properly looked at it. 1 free transfer, 103.6 million squad value, 1.9 million in the bank. So the 2 transfers I did last week, I spoke about bringing in Dawson and Tierney, but I took out Wan-Bissaka and Cancelo. Whether or not that will hurt me long term, we'll see. I now have no Man City defenders. I'm just hoping that Leicester and or Leeds can score against them. And that they don't, or maybe they don't miss out matches, basically. I'm just hoping that other defenders can score just as many points. We'll see if that's a mistake, but it's taken some money out of my defence. And I think, bearing in mind, like I wildcarded in Game Week 18, I think now most of my kind of squad like distribution of funds, like where my money is, I'm quite happy with it now. I've taken a lot of money out of my defence. The 3 defenders you see on screen are all under 5 million. I think Dallas is over 5 million, but I'm pretty sure I got him when he was under 5 million. Then I've got Tierney, and Burn is obviously also under 5. The only thing is in my attack, I've still got 8 playing attackers, but I think with the prices of some of them, I'm okay with that for now. And I've got 1.9 million in the bank. So I'm quite flexible, got a really cheap keeper. So I'm quite happy with the squad. It's taken a long time to get to this point, but at the same time, it hasn't really hurt me over the last few weeks because so many cheap players have done well. So I'm quite happy with how that's worked out, albeit I'm not happy that I've lost the triple digits. But we won't dwell on that. We'll look ahead to Game Week 30. Martinez in goal, Fulham at home. I think this is probably the last week for Martinez in my team. Like I've got the fixtures up on the other screen, which I might talk about a bit later anyway if I do some tinkering at the end. But it's Liverpool away, Man City at home after this. Then West Brom, which is pretty decent, but that's in Game Week 33, and I may use my free hit. I'm not 100% on that, but I might do. Then it's Everton, Man United, Palace, Spurs, and Chelsea. So the fixtures aren't great. The only annoying thing is he is going to have a double game week at some point, but it doesn't look like it's going to be before Game Week 33, and therefore I just don't think it's worth holding on just for that one extra game. Like if it comes down to it, I could just bring him back or whoever it might be. And so I think Mendy is probably better, but if I was wildcarding this week, I definitely would just put Mendy and Rudiger in. But I don't think with one free transfer it's worth doing. I think the right play is to save that transfer, or at least not use it on Martinez, and wait and do that move next week. Because Fulham at home is a pretty decent fixture. And if Grealish is back, that should help them out because they'll be attacking more. Therefore, there's less defensive work to do, etc., etc. And hopefully there's a clean sheet there. Obviously, if I was betting money on who definitely keeps a clean sheet this week, my money would be on Mendy. But in FPL, you've got to manage your squad. And therefore, I'm not using that transfer this week. I do have Rudiger as well. So I have one Chelsea position covered in defence. West Brom at home. Rudiger is probably going to miss like another game before the end of the season. Like we've seen that he's not completely nailed on, but he has only missed one match, I believe, under Tuchel in all competitions. I could be wrong. Maybe he's missed a Champions League game. I'm not sure. But in the league, it's just one game. So he's about as nailed as it gets. And I got him for 4.6 million. So he's in, and I would like to add at least one more Chelsea defender. But as it stands this week, I think I'm looking pretty good. Like Dallas is playing Sheffield United at home. I wrote an article for Fantasy Football Scout, and Sheffield United at home Sheffield United in general over the last 6 matches have conceded 14 expected goals, right? Which is massively high when you consider the next worst team, Crystal Palace, who is a team we've been targeting for a while, have conceded 9. So that's pretty bad. It just shows you how much worse Sheffield United are right now. So it's a great time to play them. I'm obviously hoping for attacking returns, but it's about as good as a game that Leeds are going to get for a clean sheet. And they have kept clean sheets against these kind of sides already this season. So I'm happy with Dallas, but his fixtures do turn after this week. So I could look to get rid of him in the future, but I think with the way my defence is set up, I can just bench him for those 3 weeks, and I've got players that can just come in instead. Like Tierney's fixtures are really good. He's on the bench this week because he's playing Liverpool. But going forward, the fixtures are so good, I can just play him, Rudiger, then one of Dawson or Dallas, and most of the time it's just going to be Dawson anyway. So Dallas will probably stay for me, but there is a way I could see me going for like another Chelsea defender or Cody, for example, from Wolves or something like that. But this week he looks great. Then Dawson against Wolves, I think this is probably the trickiest game on paper, but I do think West Ham have got a good chance of a clean sheet, which is one of the reasons I bought him in last week, because I knew I'd want to play him this week. Wolves, I don't think they've been great going forward at all. I think Traore can be dangerous to defences, but when I think about how West Ham set up, they're so organised and they defend quite deep as well. They get back into position so quick, so check box to box. Rice just absolutely mopping up. He is so good. I just don't think Traore is going to have the space to run in behind. The only thing I will say is when Arsenal played West Ham last week, I bought in Tierney, but all the attacking came down the right side. Chambers up against Cresswell. Cresswell did not have a good time, and if they put Traore up against him, that could be another game where he doesn't have a good time, and maybe West Ham will concede. I mean, they just conceded 3 to Arsenal, but I do think, in general, you're going to back Arsenal to score goals over Wolves anyway. So I'm quite happy with the defence for this week. My team will need some surgery next week for sure, but I'm probably going to look to save the transfer. So yeah, looking good. Dare I say it, at least 3 clean sheets there, surely. Maybe even a full house. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So I'm currently playing 3-5-2 for this week. That could change. This is where having a strong, like, 8th attacker is really going to come in handy, because for this week I have a couple of flagged players, or at least players that I'm worried about. So Son is flagged. We still don't know if he's going to be back. I'm kind of hopeful because before the international break, there was like rumours that maybe he could play. We'd have to wait and see. In the end, it sounded like they really just didn't want him to play the international break. So not playing him against Villa meant that they could also not send him off for international duty, and therefore he's had 2 weeks off. So I'm hopeful he's going to be back, but we're going to have to wait and see what Jose Mourinho says. At the time of recording this, we've not heard anything that I've seen. Gundogan I'm also a little bit concerned about because I think he played all 3 games, 90 minutes each time for Germany. I think he played 270 minutes, which most of the rest of my team, I don't think they played all the games. Like even Kane up front, who we'll talk about in a minute, I don't think he definitely didn't play all the games. Or I know he didn't because obviously Calvert-Lewin started one of them. So Gundogan's a little bit of a concern, but I do have Antonio on the bench. So if Son is past fit and then Gundogan just is fine. I'm sure Pep might say something about the amount of minutes played, but I think there's a good chance that Pep plays a pretty full-strength squad against Leicester because they've been away for 2 weeks. They haven't played a competitive match together. So therefore, he gets them in for a tough fixture against Leicester. Make sure he gets the win. Bearing in mind, Leicester are one of the teams in the top 4. So if they are going to lose their lead, which they're not going to, but if they are, then Leicester are one of the teams that could do it. So Pep will want to get one over. So I think De Bruyne and Gundogan will both start. I think the worry is the Leeds game, which I've said a million times. They get to play that game, they play together, they then match kind of ready, rhythm, all that stuff that Pep usually talks about before the first leg of the Champions League. So I think Gundogan and De Bruyne will play, but I've got that kind of safety net in Antonio on the bench. Now, you could debate whether Antonio should start ahead of Gundogan anyway, possibly, but I just think Gundogan's been so good. I think there is goals in this game, even though it's Leicester, because Man City are just good. So right now I'm playing the midfielder, and I just think Wolves' defence is going to be tougher for Antonio to breach possibly than it is for Man City to breach Leicester's defence, but it's quite tight. Elsewhere, Salah obviously still in the team, who I've talked about a billion times in the last few weeks. I'm keeping him. The fixture runs coming up is so good. I'm going to die on this hill, basically. If it goes wrong, so be it. Sometimes you have to back the player and the fixtures. Liverpool's fixtures don't get much better. Arsenal's probably their last really tough game until the end of the season. I think they play Man United as well. Outside of that, it's pretty good fixtures. So he is staying. The obviously bonus is that you get something against Arsenal. A hat-trick would be nice before everyone brings him back anyway. So I'm happy with him. And then Rafinha, a bit like Dallas. Great time to be playing Sheffield United at home. Obviously, after this, they have a few tough fixtures, but that's where maybe Antonio comes in and perhaps I bench one of Bamford or Rafinha. So I've got options. Rafinha might also go next week, possibly for Jota, to double up on Liverpool attack. I think Jota's looked really good in the internationals, by the way. So he could come in instead of Rafinha, but I don't really want to make too many decisions this week because after an international break, you're not quite sure who's definitely going to play, what teams will be like, and I think rolling a transfer is a good move. But next week I have a tough decision because if I want to bring Jota in, it's for Rafinha or Gundogan, and just how worried am I about rotation for Man City? Because if I'm not, then I definitely just get rid of Rafinha instead. But if I am, I just keep him because Leeds' end to the season is actually pretty good. So that's how the team looks right now. I'm happy with De Bruyne. I still don't have Fernandes. I'm basically backing De Bruyne against Leicester over Fernandes against Brighton. I think it's quite a close one. Hopefully De Bruyne comes out on top, although obviously hoping Man United still get the win. But yeah, I think the midfield's looking good as long as Son is fit. So up front is Bamford and Kane. Pretty simple, really. I mean, Bamford again. How many more times do I have to say it? Sheffield United at home. Looks pretty good. He's also flagged. So this is the annoying thing about international breaks. I've got Son flagged, Bamford flagged. We've not heard about them yet at the time of recording. I always want to leave this video as late as possible, but there's only so late I can leave it. But Bamford basically went off. I think it was to do with the original knock he got the week before. So if you remember, he got a knock the week before against Chelsea, I believe it was. And then it was hit or miss whether he would start. Then he does start. He was fine. But then he said something like he didn't think his legs would last a full game, and he was surprised they lasted as long as they did. But the fact that he's now got 2 weeks to recover over the international break, I'm hopeful he's fine. But again, I've got Antonio, I've got Tierney. I don't think Son or Bamford are likely to be out long term. Again, Bamford's fixtures aren't great after this week, but probably not enough to make me want to sell him this week. I don't really know which cheap striker I would bring in. Like Iheanacho, fine, but I want to see if his spot is completely safe. It's also Man City, so I'm not interested in him. And obviously with Son, you've got a double game week coming up in 32. Therefore, I definitely want to keep him, right? Because he's absolutely nailed on when he's fit. He's definitely going to play it, and I don't have those worries that I would over like a Gareth Bale. Kane, 100% my captain this week. I'm not scared of his effective ownership. I'm sure he'll be quite highly captain. I'm sure Bruno will as well, but I'm not bringing Bruno back in. Kane, best fixture, I think, out of all my team. I think De Bruyne is probably not too far behind, but Leicester are a tougher team than Newcastle. And while Newcastle are not necessarily up there like West Brom, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace in terms of bad defence, they are still one of the worst in the league. And Kane is one of the best players in the league so far this year from an FPL point of view. That's all there is to it. I'm probably going to do a watch-along as well for that match too, by the way. I need to get back to doing them. And Kane versus Newcastle probably is a good one to do it. So that's the team. Tierney's against Liverpool, so I'm going to bench him this week, but from next week he looks good. I'm not going to do any tinkering this week, but I am going to show you my team on LiveFPL.net in the transfer planner section, just to kind of show you where my thinking is with defenders and kind of moves going forward, just to show you how easy it is to plan ahead, basically. Okay, so hopefully you can see this okay. So I've been through this before, and I've shown you my kind of defender picks and stuff before to give you my kind of thought process, how I plan out. But obviously, it's been a couple of weeks now. It's nice to have a little bit of a refresher. If you don't want to see this bit, just skip to the end, skip to the outro, right? Because there's no more specifically talking about my team and the kind of standard style that I do. So this is on livefpl.net. You can see the website. I'm looking on my other screen because that's where I'm recording. I've got the site up on this screen. So you can go there. It's completely free. I'm not being paid, etc., etc., etc. It's just a great resource. So this is my team for Game Week 30. But then you can go, you can see this. You can't see the drop down, but you can go to Game Week 30, right? So this little box here is a drop down. For whatever reason, it doesn't show when I record. So this straight away tells me that my defence is looking a bit trickier in terms of points. So Liverpool away for Martinez, Man City away for Leeds. So this is not a good start of a fixture run for Leeds at all, right? So straight away, it doesn't matter. Dallas can come out, Tierney goes in, Sheffield United away. As long as he's fit, that's a perfectly fine fixture. And Antonio's got Leicester, so he's probably slightly better than Rafinha or Bamford. So I don't need to decide now which one goes out, but I'll just do Bamford out, right? So I'll leave Antonio in. So this is my team for Game Week 31, but I've got 2 free transfers, right? Because I'm still checking it's recording properly, because I haven't used one in Game Week 30. So long term, I probably want to keep Son and I definitely want to keep Son and Kane because they've got a double in 32. So potentially I could do Martinez out for Mendy. And then I was toying with doing a defender transfer, but as I'll show you in a minute, I just don't think it's worth it because for the next few weeks, I don't really need to. So Dawson against Leicester, I'm just going to play him. And then I can do Rafinha or Gundogan out. Now, I'm just going to do Rafinha out, even though Leeds fixtures towards the end of the season are pretty good, which I'll show you in a minute. Just because Gundogan plays Leeds, and I don't think I can get rid of him for that. So in here, you can't see the search bar, but I'm just going to search for Jota, Liverpool Jota. So he would be my team. So that's 2 transfers used. I've still not taken a hit. It even shows me how much money I'd have left. So 0.5 million. Then this would be my team. So I'd lock it in. I've then got double Chelsea defence against Palace. I've got Tierney against Sheffield United. Dawson against Leicester. Both my Liverpool players against Villa. Both my City players against Leeds. And on paper, it looks all right, okay? And Son and Kane are obviously staying. So then we go to Game Week 32. And I'm not going to do this for the rest of the season, but you'll see my thinking, right? So I've not taken a hit to take Dawson out or Dallas out, for example. For Game Week 31, I could have taken Dallas out for like a Cody at Wolves. But I think playing Dawson against Leicester is fine because the week after, Tierney plays Fulham, double Chelsea play Brighton, and then Dawson plays Newcastle. That's fine. I've still got Dallas benched against Liverpool. I've got Bamford benched because Antonio plays Newcastle. Gundogan and De Bruyne play Villa, right? And I'm sure they're not going to miss Leeds and Villa, so potentially I could just keep them. And Salah and Jota play Leeds, right? And we've obviously got the double for Kane and Son. Now, I could potentially bring in Reguilon here or a Bale for one of these players, but right now I'm not thinking of doing that. Then we move on to Game Week 33. Now, this is the week where I'll probably free hit. You'll see my defenders have got a few trickier fixtures maybe. Chelsea against West Ham, Tierney against Everton, Dawson against Chelsea, and obviously Son, Gundogan, De Bruyne and Kane all don't play. But for Kane and Son in particular, they play Sheffield United and Leeds in 34 and 35. So I don't really want to get rid of them. So I might free hit here. Then we get on to Game Week 34, and this is probably the last week I do. And this is where Leeds fixtures start to get a bit better. So again, my defence is still looking great, right? Fulham at home for Chelsea, Newcastle away for Tierney, Dawson's got Burnley, right? Perfectly fine. But Leeds have also got Brighton. So I could start to bring them back in. If I wanted to play Bamford ahead of Jota, I could do that. I know this all seems a bit too good to be true, because I've got transfers obviously still to use, like in all these weeks where I'm not even talking about them. But my defence looks great. Even here, Rudiger against Man City, okay, that's a bit tricky. Maybe I get rid of him and I play Dallas against Spurs maybe. But again, Tierney's against West Brom, Dawson's against Everton, it's fine. And then 36... Arsenal for Chelsea. Obviously, Tierney then plays him as well. But again, Dallas has Burnley, so I can just bring him in for one of these players. And I've not talked about any moves. So my defence pretty much works right up until Game Week 34 without having to make transfers. So therefore, I can concentrate on making them up front. And in this team, I've got all the way to Game Week 36. And again, I'm not saying I won't move any of these players out, but let's say they're still all playing. Liverpool, Salah and Jota against West Brom, De Bruyne and Gundogan against Newcastle, Son and Kane against Wolves, and Antonio plays Brighton. I mean, that looks okay, doesn't it? So I've got all the way from game week 31 using 2 free transfers to 36, and my team mostly looks okay, but yet I've still got a bunch of transfers in between to play around. So I would highly recommend using this site, especially for defence. You don't want to make loads of defender transfers. You want to get players in that work for kind of at least a good chunk of like 4 to 5 game weeks, so that you can concentrate your transfers, either bringing in players to captain maybe, or just moving attackers around instead. So I think things are looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with that plan. All my captains are in place. I'm pretty much captaining De Bruyne, Salah or Kane for the rest of the season anyway, unless I decide that I want to go really different. So yeah, the plan's looking good, but I bet it all changes next week. You have to tune in to see. So there we go. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please do give it a like if you have. Hit subscribe if you're new around here as well. I'm actually going to be back this evening at 8 o'clock. I think it's going to be 8 o'clock. I might move it to 9, but probably 8 p.m. UK time to stream. It feels like ages since I've done my usual Thursday stream, but hopefully they'll be back now for the rest of the season, so make sure to tune in for that. Captaincy tomorrow, deadline stream on Saturday, loads to come. Do hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And lastly, if you haven't already signed up to Patreon, there's a link in the description below. If you've enjoyed the content all season, you want to continue to support me a little bit further, there is a link below. Everyone that signs up goes up on the Legends Wall. You know the drill. Thank you to everybody that has already signed up. If you want Slack access, early team reveals, all that good stuff, you can get it all down at the link in the description below. I will leave it there. I'll see you tonight for the stream, hopefully. If not, I'll be back tomorrow with a captaincy video. Good luck with your picks. Let me know what you think of my team selection. Is my plan on LiveFPL too good to be true? It looks pretty good though, right? Got lots of transfers to play with after game week 31. I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of wildcarders out there, and I've got to try and get, not ahead of them maybe, but at least try and keep up. And most importantly, hopefully we get the triple digits back. We'll see. I'll be back same time next week for this video. Otherwise, stream tonight. See you soon.